Hello friends, welcome to my channel about making money online. On this channel, I share my daily work routine and demonstrate different strategies that I find and use in my work in a casual live blog format. Today, I will be using a simple strategy that I discovered and tested. Today, I will use 3 indicators and open 1-minute trades. So, I start by setting up the chart I will be working on. Today, I will use a candlestick chart type, and I set the candlestick time frame to 15 seconds. I also immediately set 1 minute for opening trades, and today I will use a trade amount of $300. Now, I am moving on to setting up all the necessary indicators. I need one moving average. I will need an indicator called SAR, and I will also need an indicator MACD. I will add all of this right away and start configuring. I'll start with the moving average. Here, I set the period to 16 and change the moving average type to EMA. After that, I go to Styles, and here I change the color of this line and make it a bit thicker, just so it is more noticeable for me to conveniently see where this line is currently located. Then I set up an indicator called SAR. Here, I use the default settings, which means in the first field, I leave the value at 0.02, and in the second field, I set the value to 0.2. After that, I go to Styles and change the style of this chart as well, just to make it more noticeable for me. And the last indicator I will set up is the MACD indicator. Here, I change the fast period to 16 and set the slow period to 38. Meanwhile, I reduce the signal period to 8. Then, I move to the Styles tab, and here I only leave the MACD histogram. So, I turn off these lines below, after which I click the Save button. This is how my workspace will look today. This is what it all looks like. And now I have everything set up and can gradually move on to explaining the strategy. But before that, friends, I remind you that in the pinned comment, I left a link to this platform that I am currently working on. On this platform, immediately after registration, there is a free demo account where you can test this and any other strategies. You can go, register, and in 5 minutes, you can test any strategy without any investment. Also, you can use all the tools, meaning all indicators are available even in the demo account. Now, I will move on to the strategy itself. So, according to this strategy, I enter trades following the trend. So, how do I actually work? I open absolutely any chart. That means, basically, with this strategy, I can work with currency pairs as well as with stocks of various companies. These can be OTC assets or assets without the OTC label. Absolutely any chart suits me. First of all, I need to find the trend movement. How do I do it? For example, I have opened the chart of the currency pair Australian dollar, and I am looking at where the price is now. If the price is above the moving average, it means there is an overall upward movement. If the price is below the moving average, it means that the chart is generally moving downwards. Ideally, as many candles as possible should be either above or below the moving average. In essence, based on the direction of the moving average and the current price position, it is clear what movement we currently have on the chart. So, for example, if the moving average is directed upward, like it is now, and the price is constantly above the moving average, this means there is an upward movement. However, if the moving average itself is pointing downward and the price is below the moving average, then there is a downward movement. And in accordance with the trend movement, I open trades. If I see a situation where the price is moving sideways, meaning the moving average is flat, and the price constantly crosses the moving average, I understand that the price is currently in a sideways trend, and I do not enter trades in such sideways movements. So I try to find a trending movement. Then, after I find a chart that, for example, is moving upwards, and I want to enter an up trade, I look at the SAR indicator. It allows me to see in the short term where the price is currently moving. To enter an up trade, I need the SAR indicator dots to appear below the chart. In that case, I can enter into up trades. However, if I see a downward movement and the SAR indicator dots appear above the chart, then I can enter into down trades. And the last indicator I pay attention to is the MACD indicator. In order to make an up trade, I need the MACD indicator bars to be above the 0 mark. To make a down trade, the MACD indicator bars should be below the 0 mark. Only in such cases do I enter trades. So what do I see on the chart now? There's an upward movement. Meanwhile, the SAR indicator has already started to show that we have an upward movement. And on the MACD indicator, there seems to be the first very small bar that is pointing upwards and is above the zero mark. Well, it's actually not the best moment to enter a trade, but in order not to prolong the video, I will now enter an up trade. In case this trade closes at a loss, I will show you how I also deal with losses. Here, basically, nothing new. I always work by the same rule, regardless of the set of indicators I use. So, well, as for entering the trade itself, I think everything is clear here. Overall, the price is above the moving average. The moving average is generally trending upward, indicating an upward movement. Meanwhile, the SAR indicator points are drawn below the chart. And at the moment of entering the trade, the MACD indicator bars were above the zero mark. But the only thing that bothers me is that these bars were quite small. Of course, it's better when these bars are larger. Nevertheless, I still entered the trade for $300. And now, regarding my balance allocation. As usual, I use an amount that does not exceed 1% of my balance. I am doing this to cover losses. If my trade closes at a loss, I simply open the next trade with a doubled amount. So here are a few seconds before this trade ends, and if this trade closes at a loss, I would open the next trade already for $600. But the trade closed in profit, so there's no point in doubling. This was an up trade. Now I'll try to find some chart where I could enter a down trade. What do we have here? Well, basically, here I can enter a down trade. What do I see on the chart itself? The price is currently below the moving average, and the moving average itself is trending downwards, while the SAR indicator is placing its dots above the chart. Also, on the MACD indicator, at the moment of entering the trade, there was a pair of red bars below zero, which is why I entered the trade. A small rebound is possible now, so I am immediately preparing an amount here for doubling. And just a couple more words about doubling. So, for instance, if this trade closes at a loss, the next trade will be opened for $600, and if it closes at a profit, the payout will be enough to recover the loss from this trade and earn a little more on top. However, if my $600 trade also closes at a loss, then I will double again, and the next trade I will open for $1,200. And this is how I double up. I started with a very small amount for the first trade to have many attempts to double. This allows me to make mistakes many times in a row. So, just now, my trade closed at a loss. I can't enter trades here anymore. The MACD indicator bars appear right next to the zero mark, so I'll change the chart and see what else there is. Here, one could enter an up trade, but I want to find the right moment to enter a down trade specifically to show how I enter down trades. There are quite a few good charts where I can enter an up trade. Of course, I would gladly enter an up trade now because there are many situations where you can enter a decent trade. And here I can enter a down trade. What do I see here? The chart recently reversed for us, the moving average started to look downwards, and at the same time the price is below the moving average. Also, the SAR indicator points are drawn above the chart, and on the MACD indicator, the bars are drawn below the zero mark. Moreover, these bars are quite large, so I entered a down trade for $600. I'll immediately prepare a doubled amount here just in case to cover myself, and now I'll just watch this trade. Well, in principle, I like the strategy. I quickly determine when I can enter trades with it. That is, in principle, everything is clearly visible on the chart here. It's quite easy for me to navigate and see which trade I need to enter now. Therefore, I also periodically use this strategy. Well, now I see that there was a small rebound. So basically, on this chart, I can't go into down trades anymore. And right now, I have the opportunity to show once again how my doubling trade will work. Well, now possibly, in order not to delay the video, I will enter into an up trade. I think the general logic of how I enter trades both up and down is clear. Just now, so as not to drag out the video, I found the first available signal on which I can enter a trade. And I opened the trade for $1,200, but it was an up trade. So, my trade closed successfully in profit. It was a really good moment to enter an up trade. I didn't look for opportunities to enter a down trade because while scrolling through many charts, I spotted a chance to enter an up trade. And here is the strategy that I use today. Friends, I hope this video was useful and interesting for you. If so, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video. I don't have any paid courses or private channels. All I have is this YouTube channel. Therefore, the best way to thank me is by being active through likes and subscriptions to my channel. I also remind you that on my channel I only share my personal experience. I do not provide financial advice. And with that, I will conclude my video and say goodbye to you. Wish you luck.